Good morning. Unstoppable you. Those are some strong words, strong words. Again, good morning. Hope everybody had a good start in here nice and early. Again, my name is Jason Phillips. Thanks for the introduction. I'm going to start off by saying I was really moved initially to get involved with just by the name Unstoppable You. That alone says a lot. That alone speaks volumes. It's an action word. Those are action words. You can't hear Unstoppable You and just sit there and not think about your life and not think about what you got going on. And again, like she's mentioned, I'm originally from New York City, Queens, New York to be exact. I grew up in about the 80s, 90s, so you can imagine the era if you're familiar with the times. And I came up with a stable family environment, mom, dad in the household, working class, stayed at it, overtime, things like that. But with that happening, it gave me a lot of free time. If anybody can relate to that, especially parents, you're working full time and part time and overtime, and sometimes the kids can be left at home to fend for themselves. Not necessarily for themselves, but home. After school, you're not there, then they gotta go to sleep, and it gives a lot of after time, a lot of time to get into different environments, different things, especially after school hours when things are really, really an issue. So with that being said, one of the first obstacles that really hit me growing up, that really changed the course of my life as a young adult, as a young child, like you could say, was negative influences. At that time, I was really into the hip hop scene. I was really into just the culture in general of New York City at that time frame. Again, mid 80s, 90s. I was really heavily into that environment. And along the way, I was always good in school. I was always smart, really maintained good grades. But the negative influences really, really held a lot of weight at that time. As you can imagine, again, I'm the oldest of two. I had 2 younger brothers, so I'm the oldest. So therefore, my influences wasn't necessarily coming from my younger brothers. They was coming from the environment. I felt like, we were about 4 years apart, so I felt like I couldn't really relate to them socially as far as hanging out, just because, we was moving fast, living fast. The environment was really fast paced. So at 9, 10, I feel like I'm living as a teenager. That's what you think. Everybody can relate to that. As a young adult, as a young kid, you think you're older than what you really are. So that really, really created a lot of obstacles for me because it took me off of my path. That's what influences do. They influence your decision, they influence your livelihood, they influence your decisions, they influence your environment. So even though I had this setting from my parents, from my household, grandparents, uncles, cousins, the negative influences from my peers just overpowered that during that time frame. Growing up, you're really, as we all know, your mind is mold, it's clay. So the things you're getting, you're creating your own environment. As a child, once you get up and you're to the point of you can walk on your own, now I don't need you to hold me. I'm going to figure it out myself. I'm going to fall myself. I'm going to get up. I'm going to dust myself off. So I went through all those phases as a young child. The peer pressures was what really started. On top of the influences, the negative influences in my environment, the peer pressure started to come. Middle school, junior high school, elementary, the peer pressures. Hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's cut class. Let's smoke a cigarette. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's hang out late. Let's skip school. So those events, the peer pressure, I felt the need to live up to that. I felt the need that I don't want to be an outsider in this environment. I want to be popular. I want to be the guy that the cool guy. I want to hang out with the cool crowd. And unfortunately, the cool crowd had some negative influence. They had some negative things that they was getting into. Again, at that age, you don't really look at the magnitude of it. Just looking at we're just doing we're just cutting school. We're just hanging out. We're just going to the corner store, and unfortunately maybe steal a bag of chips, things like that. And those just begin to compound as the years go on. And so it really caused a lot of conflict with myself and my parents, because they're sitting down. I'm sure some of you that have children may feel the same way, that, man, am I doing a bad job raising my kids? You're questioning yourself, but honestly, you really have no choice of that. The influences, depending on the environment, is very, very strong. And there could be nothing you can do. Just again, plant the seeds and hopefully they come back to them. And that's where I had to get in my life. So I always was fortunate to have a strong foundation. that I knew that, what I'm doing and the way I was living just wasn't correct. I knew that. I felt it in my gut. Just like a lot of us can do. You do something wrong, you feel like, man, this is not a good decision. It could be a small thing. You know what? Let me put my seatbelt on. This is not a good decision to ride on the highway doing 90 miles an hour, not speeding, but whatever. And let me put my seatbelt on. It's not a good decision. So again, I always had that nugget at me and just saying, man, you're not doing the right thing. You're not living your potential. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I always fought against that. But again, my environment just overpowered, my decision making at that moment, at that time in life. So again, I made it through junior high school. Again, I'm talking about, we had 15, 16, unfortunately. So once I got to high school and I had the freedom of high school where, there's no one checking up on you every single day. In junior high school and elementary, you're at the age where, oh my goodness, Jason, come to school today, let me call your house. When you get to high school, especially in New York, it was open gate. It was just, do what you're gonna do. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, unfortunately, we'll see you around. That's how it was. It was just the freedom it was unbearable. I just couldn't manage. It was just too much. So therefore, it just allowed me to just run, not going to school at all. When I get home before my parents. So if I have a letter in the mailbox from school, guess what? I'm opening up the letter. I'm throwing it away. I'm checking. Back then we had answer machines. We had the house phone. So those days you go and I'm rewinding the tape, I'm listening, hey, this is the public school, blah, blah, blah. Oh man, I'm delete that message. So just things like that, man. It was just out of control. Just little things being mischievous. So therefore, that went on and on. So again, 10th grade, like 11th grade, and all of a sudden my mom said, you know what, we're gonna move you into a different environment. And again, it was in me. I was raised in just environments. Sometimes it helps to change environments, but you have to change yourself. So I didn't do that work yet. I didn't do the work, so I changed to a different environment. I moved to Pennsylvania, and I still had the same stuff going on. The environment was totally different. My peers were totally different. So now I become the influencer. I became the person that was, misleading others and things like that. I became the negative influence because, I took what I learned and I went somewhere else with it, and now I'm just starting the process all over again. So again, I always had that notion that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're not maximizing your life. You're not living fully. I still get that. Even with sales, with real estate, she mentioned, even real estate and business, work, anything. If I don't have a great day and I'm not pushing myself, I feel it the night. I feel it that night. I feel it really bad. I'm hard on myself. Man, I wasted the day today. I sat back and watched. I binge watched Netflix all day when I should have been in the office. So you always have those. At least for me myself, I always have those gut feelings when I know I'm not pushing my potential. And so make a long story short, I moved to York, Pennsylvania. Again, my brother Jamil Alexander. He's one of the first individuals that I met out here, a peer that was positive, doing the right thing. So I came to York, and I met him at Christmas Addicts at the charter school. He was similar situations, similar backgrounds, and I said, you know what? This is the opportunity. This is a fresh start. This is really a fresh start. No one knows me. I can really create a new identity. So I just sat back and I said, you know what? This is what I have to do. I'm changing. I have to create a new person. I have to create a new environment. I have a new environment. So therefore, it had to be me because I was in New York. I got into trouble. I got into issues. I moved to Pennsylvania. I got into trouble. I got into issues. So I said, you know what? So everybody hear me? I'm good? Okay. So I started. I said, maybe it's me. I'm 20 years old. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the issue that everywhere I go, I'm getting into problems. I'm getting into incidents. So maybe it's me. So anyway, at that moment in life, I had all the tools necessary. So I sat back and I said, you know what? I did a little self-evaluation. I said, wow, okay, I have all the tools I need. I don't have a formal education. So let me go to this program and get my GED. Let me get my diploma. So therefore, that can at least give me a foundation. So I was always smart enough to be able to analyze my environment and be resourceful. That's what you just learn that in any environment you're in life. You learn to use your resources. And at that moment, I was given ample resources to say, okay, you know what? Here you go. Here's employment. Here's housing. Here's an environment that supports what you want to do. So let me buckle down. So those obstacles that I faced up till then, I felt like, you know what? I paid my debt. I took some bumps and bruises. So now's an opportunity for me to really change things along. I thought it was gonna be easy, but that was honestly the beginning of new obstacles. So now I'm living a totally different lifestyle, or in the pursuit of a totally different lifestyle in an environment where I'm not familiar with everyone. I'm not familiar with the layout. I'm not familiar with the terrain. So I said, you know what, this is gonna be an obstacle. I don't have a cousin that I can call. I don't have a brother I can call and say, hey, I'm gonna come over here for the night, I'm gonna do this. It was pretty much on me and a backpack that I came to New York with. So anyway, I went through the program, and I just had in my mind, when you speak on perseverance, that's where I was at. To that point in life, I had some good times, but it was mainly really negative and a lot of issues. But at that point, my grandmother, she really was like, you know what, Jason, please do better. She was speaking on behalf of my mother. My mother worked a lot. She worked 12-hour days. She provided a lifestyle for us that she only can do by working extremely hard. So therefore, she kind of pleaded on her behalf, which is of course her daughter. You're really hurting your mother. She's really going through a lot. Can you really get things together and be the man that she raised you to be? So I said, okay, you know what? That really struck a chord. My grandmother didn't have to do that. She was a woman of very few words, but when she spoke, I listened. So therefore, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this happen. If I was able to be successful, or quote unquote, thought that I was successful in other areas in life, this is the area that I'm gonna make happen. I'm gonna persevere and I'm gonna change it around. So one of the first things I did was identify positive role models. I seen individuals in my environment. I said, you know what? This is a positive role model. This is a positive role model. So I replaced the negative role models with positive role models. There were some people that didn't even know they was my role model. That was my role model. They just was going about their day-to-day business, and I'm looking at the way they dress. I'm looking at the way they communicate. I said, you know what? That's a role model. They may not know, but that's my role model. I'm watching them. I'm watching everything. I'm just being a student. So therefore, I started realizing and meeting individuals that was doing good in life and being okay the right way. They wasn't hurting nobody. They wasn't doing anything illegal, but they were living good lives. They was buying houses, taking trips, raising their family. I said, wow, okay. So these things can be achieved, in my community doing the right thing. So I really hunkered down and made a real conscious decision that I was going to persevere and take any bumps and bruises that came along the way, which I feel like I did and I'm continuing to do. So at one point, I was definitely considered an at-risk youth. That was the label, at-risk youth. My picture's been right there in the dictionary. This is the guy right here. Someone help him out. So with that, I began to own that. Before I used to run from that, hide from that. Oh, not me. But I got into a point where I owned that. So you know what? Yeah, I am an at-risk youth. I was an at-risk youth. So I'm going to work through that. And that allowed me to reach others. So when I started working as a case manager at a charter school, I just excelled. How you doing? Yep. The students love me. Children, I was like, man, this is kind of good. This is kind of cool for the right things now. And I was the one that, give me the roughest students. Give me the ones that you cannot handle. Those are the ones I want to work with. Those are the students I want to work with. And so I was able to do that. I was able to build great rapport with students. I was able to build great rapport in the community. But that wasn't it. It was a start. I feel like, I'm just getting started. What's next? And when you speak about obstacles, one of the obstacles when I thought far ahead, financially and business-wise and career-wise, I didn't have the formal education that I felt that I needed or a lot of my peers had. So I took some courses. I went to Penn State, York. I was blessed through Youth Build. They had an opportunity through an AmeriCorps grant to go. Again, I wasn't playing at that time. I was looking at every single resource, breaking it down, going to meetings, going to events. Events supposed to be 20 people. I'm the only person there in the rain. I was not playing. I was digging up every single jewel, every diamond to figure out how do I change this thing around. That's what it takes. And one of the things to overcome is being lonely. Being by yourself, being true to yourself, because some of your obstacles can be attached to people that you really love. So that's something I had to realize. Like, wow, I love this person. I have feelings for this person, or even if it's a friend that you grew up with in a sandbox, they can be attached to some of your obstacles. So I had to become strong to look in the mirror and be by myself and say, I may have to take this journey alone. Along the way of I had relationships, I got married, I had a daughter, and but again, I was still learning. Things didn't work out as far as marriage is concerned. My daughter moved away to South Carolina, 10 hours away. Another obstacle. Man, how are you going to face this? That was my first real accomplishment at that time, was having a child, being healthy. And now it's removed from my day-to-day life. How do I maintain? How do I keep going? That was an obstacle. But you know what? I pushed through it. I said, now I had the time to pursue things that I may not have time to pursue before. Because before that, I was working 2 jobs, making sure I raised my daughter, making sure she, had things that she needed in my family. So it took me, because I wasn't, I didn't have the career that I wanted at the time. It wasn't getting paid. I had to double up. You know what I mean? So instead of, I wasn't making, $20, $30 an hour. So I had to get 2 jobs making $15 an hour, one full-time, one part-time, to make up the loss. So anyway, I had to realize that, what, I have to change. I have to keep pursuing. I have to keep overcoming these obstacles. So then I said, what, now I had the 6 hours that I had to put the time to family, I could put that into myself. So I started learning about real estate, started taking my classes, got licensed, and I continued to face obstacles all the time. I don't have my family. Now I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, but I still got to get a part-time job. But again, I just kept pushing, kept persevering, kept moving through it. And one of the things that I realized throughout the journey, and the journey I'm still going on, is honestly being true to yourself and knowing who you are, and just having non-negotiables. There's certain things I just don't negotiate about. I don't care how much I love you. I don't care how much of a friendship we have. I don't care what kind of relationship we have. Some things I just do not negotiate with. And honestly, just getting to the next level is a non-negotiable for me. And I feel like I'm not really good with weakness, because I feel like we're all strong in a lot of areas, but we just pick and choose what area you want to be strong on. You may, in your career, you may be, laxy-daisy, but at home, you're an animal. Oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. When it comes to relationships, you may be very aggressive, you may be very dominant, but when it comes to self-development, you're passive. So we all have the ability to be strong and pursue what we want relentlessly. It's just a matter of picking and choosing what's important for ourselves. So that's one of the things that really allowed me to get to where I need to be at and continue to keep growing, and hopefully work with others in the community. And just, again, we gotta be strong. We have to continue to persevere and know that, and pick and choose our battles, the ones that's gonna give you the highest return. Worrying about, senseless, relationships possibly, or just friends, worried about what's gonna give you the biggest return, which is your goals, which is what makes you happy, which is your family, things like that. So that's where I pour my attention at. And again, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope to continue to grow, hopefully continue to be in the community, hopefully provide to be a positive influence for others. And again, I appreciate the opportunity, Ms. Jennifer. Again, it's just the name alone, Unstoppable You, just really strings a chord, because we're all unstoppable, we're all pushing forward. And thanks again. Hope everybody has a good day. Yeah.